What's up, Thralls of Metal? Long time no see. I'm the artist formerly known as RIN.
Necrotic Nick.
Jammin Jon.
And we're here because Cannibal Corpse brings us together for Chaos Horrific.
This comes out on the 22nd of September on Metal Blade Records, because where else would a Cannibal Corpse album come out on? Band formed in 1988 in Buffalo, New York, then moved to Tampa, where they are pretty much just associated with that giant scene. This is their 16th album overall.
1-6.
Insane. This is their second one with Eric Rutan on second guitars and lead guitars. We'll just say guitars. Also doing production and mixing once again. And it's Cannibal Corpse, like arguably one of the most consistent death metal bands on the planet. And of course we were fucking stoked to go over this one because, again, it's Cannibal Corpse.
I mean, yeah, it's Cannibal Corpse. We've all been Cannibal Corpse fans for forever. And of course you saw our ranking of Cannibal Corpse was just now our most viewed video ever.
It beat out the 6 Feet Under shit,
yeah,
though?
It did.
I think by a little bit, yeah.
Beat it by a couple thousand views. Yeah, crazy, right?
Wow.
And of course we reviewed the last Cannibal Corpse album, which was a fucking banger. And this is also a fucking banger. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, when it comes down to Cannibal Corpse, I just buy it because generally it's quality. Like, even my least favorite Cannibal Corpse album is still an awesome album. And yeah, I just had a hunch this would be awesome. I mean, we heard the singles Summon for Sacrifice and Bloodblind. That was enough. I mean, honestly, it was enough that they just announced they were doing another album, because I would have bought it.
Sign me up, Buttercup.
Legitimately, they wouldn't have even had to release singles. All I would have had to hear was Cannibal Corpse is releasing a record, and I would have said, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah.
But naturally, because this is what we do, we got to review it and give you the whole ins and outs and all the gory, greasy, disgusting details of it. And right away, I mean, it'd be easy just to say it sounds like Cannibal Corpse, and we would be totally right.
It's Cannibal Corpse. Buy it. Thank you. This is Thralls of Metal. Like and subscribe. See you later.
That's it. We can wrap it up just like that, and you're like, yeah, no, they were straight and to the point, and I mean, I already bought it, but, you know. But getting into this, like, right away, it opens up thrashy and violent. And honestly, like, there's a lot of thrash on here we were noticing.
It starts out with the bass, which is kind of crazy because how many Corpse songs start out with the bass?
Very few.
Actually, very few. I can't really think of one off the top of my head, to be honest.
No. The guitars are molasses. Right away, the guitars go right up your chute in a wall. I don't know how many guitar tracks there are. 33, perhaps. It's chaos.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Rutan's mix is generally guitar dominant, and the guitars on here feel even thicker and kind of heartier than they did on Violence Unimagined. Even the drums. Honestly, one of my complaints about the last one is I thought the drum mix was a little bit thin. Here, they sound punchy and just powerful. Actually, the entire mix is like kind of gasoline soaked in a good way. Like, everything is just rich and full and loud
and more in your face. Like, I feel like this is gonna actually sound pretty decent on a good stereo.
Yeah.
Because I noticed like the last couple Cannibal Corpse albums were thin enough to where you couldn't really hear the bass at times, and it didn't have a lot of low end, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. Like, they were still fucking awesome, but I always thought the mix was just a little meh. But now, this is not that.
It was a little jarring for me, the first couple of songs, because there was so much guitar, it was almost hard to make out, but that just takes a second for your ear to adjust, perhaps.
But when you get down to like some of the groovier tracks like Bloodblind and the last track, Drain You Empty, we're going to go into that one a little bit more later, you know, it kind of opens up a bit. And honestly, like, this album, I think, grooves a little bit more than maybe, say, the last couple. There aren't, like, a tremendous amount of, like, straightforward, like, fast blast beats. Paul has, you know, kind of a unique sound. Like, his drums are pretty much just catered to the band. Like, he just kind of knows that sound because he's been there for fucking forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Since 1932.
Yeah. And, you know, still doing an awesome job. But this album here, I think there's a lot more groove to it, especially in terms of the breakdowns, because when they break shit down, like, it is, once again, the heaviest thing ever. The riff work is just crawling and twisting and violent as hell.
I'm a sucker for mid-tempo breakdown corpse, and when Paul hits the ride, it's time to die.
Hold my beer moment.
Hold my juice, I'm going to lose my limbs.
Yeah, then he comes back from the pit, all bloodied and wearing someone else's shirt. And like, what the fuck happened?
Have you seen my nose?
Oddly enough, there is melody. In the song Fracture and Refracture, I was very interested to find that underneath the chugs, there's a little melody going on in the background. Now, in this case, it's not pretty. I don't ever want to associate the word pretty with Cannibal Corpse. I think that's sacrilege.
So you could say melody, or you could do goblet melody.
Yeah.
You're lifting up Satan's testes. Melody.
It's a massive bag. Honestly, the track that I noticed it a lot in is the title track. The title track, actually, when Ren and I were, talking about it, I was like, do you hear Carcass?
Carcass
Corpse.
Carcass Corpse.
Now, that name pretty much makes you want to call the redundancy department of redundancy on that, but I hear, like, kind of heartwork and necroticism style melodies, and all right, this is the second album with Eric Rutan in the band, and I think, honestly, on this one, you can really hear him and Rob Barrett kind of gelling in terms of the guitar work. Like, the harmonies feel, again, oddly melodic, like not the pretty melodies that, the Satan testicle lifting, melodies. But everything in terms of the guitar work feels like a lot tighter. And honestly, I think the riffs on this album jump out immediately more so than the last one. And I really like that last one, so kind of cluing you in on how I feel about this album already.
I wonder if maybe did they write these during lockdown and they had an extra time to work them together, perhaps?
I don't know. Honestly, with the amount that this band tours,
they got to sit on them longer, perhaps?
You gotta figure that would make sense because Violence Unimagined came out in 2021, meaning that those riffs, most of those songs were likely written prior to the pandemic. And then you get the pandemic and you get this big shutdown, you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything, and they were like, all right, let's write some more songs.
And they were probably writing it while Corpsegrinder was doing his solo thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, at the same time, who knows, they could have wrote these while they were on the road because, I mean, as soon as they were able to tour, believe me, they toured, and they did multiple tours. I know I saw them on at least one of them.
Gotta sell those shirts, Daddy.
And I don't know, like, maybe the time on the road gave them time to, like, just kind of work on stuff and kind of hammer out details. But, I mean, on this album specifically, I feel like the guitar work is really just, I don't know, like, just kind of in your face, and I don't know, like, everything on this album kind of flows a lot smoother than the last one.
Yes.
The transitions feel a little bit smoother. Production-wise, again, like, it feels like a little bit more rich and a little bit more full. And there are some, like, interesting surprises on here. Like, not only melody, like, again, we brought up, like, the thrashy elements. Song like, God, I have to say this fucking word. All right.
Pestulosaurus.
Pestilential?
Pesto and lentil.
Rictus.
Pesto and lentil.
Yeah.
The first word definitely begins with a P, and the other word is rictus.
P. rictus. I had that once, you dirty, dirty bitch.
Sounds like someone Schwarzenegger fucking fought in a movie.
Get to the Pestulosaurus.
Welcome to the party, P. rictus.
P. rictus.
Anyway, Pesticle Rectus, or whatever it is like a more straightforward, kind of thrashy song. It's the only song on here that is, like, kind of DB driven.
Right, and it's like if Overkill tuned to B flat.
Yeah.
And maybe Charlie Benante jumped in on the bridge.
It has, again, like a thrashy character to it. It's a little bit more loose. Like, the transitions are a little bit more smooth. It's honestly kind of like one of the most fun tracks on here. And, like, the whole vibe of it definitely has, like, an even more old school sound than Cannibal Corpse already has.
Yeah, it's the old school thrash with the corpse stomp.
But the closing track on this record is
kind of surprising.
Yeah, a gem of a song. It is evil, it is dark, it is slow, and at least for the first 30 seconds or so, it's straight doom. Blood-curdling vocals. Even when it gets faster, it's still sinister.
The end bendies is icky.
Yeah.
Icky.
And this one is definitely one of Eric's songs, and you can kind of tell, like, it has his flair for epicness. Like, it almost kind of reminded me of Nile a little bit, albeit like one of their slower sections.
Less Egyptian.
Yeah, but very, very sinister. Like, it has, a completely different vibe than generally what you get from Cannibal Corpse. Cannibal Corpse, you're there for the violence and the riffs. Like, that is kind of the main thing they do, and they've been doing so well, like over the course of 16 fucking albums. But this song is notably just different. Like the vibe is different right from the start, and then when it transitions into the faster sections, it syncopates this dirty chug throughout almost the entire song and breaking it up in different ways, and then, you know, kind of like twisting up the tempos.
And towards the breakdown, it's even got a doomy tag on the end of it.
They're definitely summoning something evil from somewhere bad.
I mean, as if they didn't summon enough on Bloodblind, which is one of the most aggressive tracks on here. And that is definitely saying something, but that one, I got huge bloodbath vibes on it.
I'm a sucker for mid-tempo corpse.
It is Chug City.
Disgusting.
It is groovy. It doesn't like you, but it also wants you to buy a shirt.
You're going to have to buy a shirt.
I mean, yeah, no, I'll probably get a shirt. I've got so many Cannibal Corpse shirts. I need more, though.
I have 2.
They have tie-dye ones now.
I can have 3. Yep. They were selling a tie-dye Morbid Angel shirt at the fest.
Tie-dye's in, buddy.
Yep.
Vengeful Invasion opened up and it reminded me of Ditto Head off of Divine Intervention a little bit, but they humped the ending into a fade-out, which, like, the first song started with bass. I don't know how many songs of theirs start with bass, and then I don't know how many songs of theirs end with a fade-out. Neat little twists.
And I thought that song, too, had some more classic Cannibal Corpse just riffing in it. It was just full of crawls and just aggressive riffing. But, you know, Rob Barrett wrote that song, so it makes sense.
And tempo-wise, it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's some really interesting, like, technical kind of crawls in there, which, I mean, that's not completely uncharacteristic of Corpse, but... No, the cool thing about this album, and it's kind of a generalization about Cannibal Corpse in general, is yes, they are massively consistent, and I kind of know what to expect going into every album, but it's the slight variation that you hear like within songs. You know, there are some things that are slightly different here, but I mean, overall, it's a Cannibal Corpse album. Like, it has all the tropes that you expect. It has the gory fucking album cover. It's Vincent Locke once again, because no one else does Cannibal Corpse covers because they're not allowed. But again, like these interesting little twists or even throwbacks, like the thrashy elements, like kind of takes you back to like the early years of Corpse. There's definitely some riffs in here that remind me of Eaten Back to Life.
As far as gripes are concerned, I had to nitpick again to find them because it's Cannibal Corpse. I thought that a lot of the songs, like 70 to 80% of the songs started thrashy, and like that's not necessarily a gripe, but having them all kind of start the same would make it tougher to pick them out right at the rip. Like, if you're cycling through this in the car, you're like, oh, that's thrashy, oh, that's thrashy, oh, that's thrashy. Aside from Draw You Empty, which started out just evil as balls, like, they all just kind of started thrashy.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, a lot of the songs seem like they opened up as they kind of went on. Like, you have a big, heavy intro, and then you kind of get into, like...
that groove.
The groove, the intricacies, the riffs. My only, like, honest complaint on here, because I really enjoyed this entire thing, was the last track, Drain You Empty, and I love that track. But the way it opens with this more moody vibe, like the big droning riffs, like it's not, you know, Chug-mageddon all the time there. Hearing those big open ringing riffs and that slower pace and that more sinister vibe.
Yeah, they don't really let things ring out very often.
Yeah. And there was part of me that was like, man, I kind of wonder what this would sound like if they just kind of stuck to this. Like, give it a big, doomy closer. Like the last Obituary album we went over, that doomy closer.
Dude. Woo!
Yeah,
man.
They tacked on maybe another 2 minutes.
Yeah. Or like kind of like fade out on that. But, you know, it kind of just turns into like a super heavy song with some really cool riffs that do stand out. I like the syncopated chugs. And I bring that up because I think, you know, certain songs did take some interesting chances that were incorporated into the songs a little bit more, like pesticide,
Pesticles.
rectum,
He was
whatever
a
it was.
philosopher for Satan.
Nothing but the worst advice ever.
Yeah.
But that song
Do it.
was a little bit different. Like, it was, you know, kind of thrashy. Again, that D beat, that was like kind of the whole thing. But
beat down.
yeah, like outside of that, I don't have any complaints, which I rarely have any complaints about Cannibal Corpse because they're fucking really good.
I just, you know.
Yeah, which is problematic when you're making year-end lists and it's this late in the year and you already have a whole bunch.
Oh my God.
Because I really, really like this. So overall, I'm going to give this a 4. It's probably going to get higher than that the more I listen to it, but right now it is a solid 4. It could not be more locked in on a 4, and nothing below This is Cannibal Corpse doing Cannibal Corpse, but again with some cool intricacies. I like the additions of like more sinister melodies on here. I like the fact that this is 39 minutes of just brutality. Yeah. There's no filler. There's nothing on here where it feels like the energy is waning. It is just brutality in your face done by absolute fucking professionals of the craft. If you love Cannibal Corpse, you already pre-ordered it. I don't need to tell you to go get it. You probably have it. And if you don't like Cannibal Corpse, this probably won't change your fucking mind. But yeah, this is just awesome death metal. Go out and get it. Go out and see him on tour.
Don't let what I'm about to say deter you. But Cannibal Corpse is the Metallica of death metal. They're the AC/DC of death metal. Not that they sound like them, but you know what you're gonna get. I say Metallica because they're the biggest death metal band, and there'll probably never be a bigger death metal band. And they're AC/DC because
consistency.
It sounds like Cannibal Corpse. If you have any of their albums and you even remotely like it, you're gonna love this one because it's more Cannibal Corpse songs. 10 of them, in fact, in 39 minutes. So what the hell else are you gonna do? Boil a couple of eggs? I'm gonna go with a 4.5. Yeah, 4.5. This album will probably grow on me. Yeah, there's nothing wrong. Maybe they could have made a more violent album cover.
Oh, it was pretty violent, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of violence going on there.
Yeah, if you just want to taste, watch the videos they put out for the singles. Gory, gooey goodness. Corpse. All day.
It's a 4.5 for me. It's everything that I thought it would be. It's a Cannibal Corpse record. It's really hard to not give Cannibal Corpse a really good rating because they're so disgustingly consistent. If you're a fan of this band, this is full of everything that you love with a couple little twists and turns that maybe you weren't expecting. I like the doomy shit on the end. It's violently heavy, just as the way they want it to be. A banger of an album. It's Cannibal Corpse. If you like Cannibal Corpse, you're gonna fucking love this. If you don't like Cannibal Corpse, what is wrong with you? No, really. If you don't like Cannibal Corpse, check it out anyway. I would highly advise everyone that has ever loved this band to go out and buy this, buy a shirt, go see them on tour, maybe smash somebody in the face with a hammer. You know? Maybe. I don't know. We don't promote violence here. But yeah, it's a 4.5 for me.
So, if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmellow.com. Our Patreon link is there. It's also on our channel someplace. And our store is open. We have shirts, we have hats, we have discounted shirts from previous designs too. So, if you were looking for a shirt or a hat of ours, that is definitely the place to get it.
We're also promoting shows tonight in Fort Wayne at Pierre's in Stan's room. Flesher will be playing along with a couple of other bands. I'm really sorry I didn't look at the flyer. And then on Sunday at Howard's Club H, Yotuma and Convulsus will be there, and I don't remember the opener. Again, I'm horribly fucking sorry.
You're bad at this.
And then October 1st, our hometown venue, Frankie's in Toledo, Ohio, has reopened and they're booking metal. Revocation, Unearth, Entheos, and High Command, $25. Come on out because you should be there, because if you're not there, I don't know what's wrong with you. Come out. Do it. Be there.
And of course, thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, following, all that stuff. It means the world to us. It is awesome to see this channel grow, and yeah, we got a ton planned for you in terms of content. I'm currently editing a super long video that I can't wait to show you guys. But yeah, you guys absolutely rule, and I'm going to thank you one more time because you've been good, and we will catch you later.